Alright, hey guys, welcome to a super late Untier talk. We skipped a whole week, and not like a small, easy, nothing happened week, like normally those are the weeks we skip, a really big one. So now me, Hajed, and Specs are gonna try to cover 2 weeks of like massive amounts of stuff. Oh god. Um I think so I
Sounds go
think
well
I
then.
think we can hit like the general state of the tier and stuff, and then we can do World Cup semis and finals, and then we'll move on to low tier Premier League. I think that seems like a reasonable little thing. Um, it's not like this big PU news to talk about. Like this circuit started up, people should know about that. But mostly just like how we feel about the tier. I think would be a really good place to start because that's always fun to share. Um, and I'll say I know that all three of us are like totally ready to start banning things right after the January shift. Like, I'm ready to nuke Duraludon and Kingdra and Exploud and Indeedee and Sirfetch'd and Machamp, and I'm not sure if anything else, but those are like the big ones. Um,
Yeah, I'd say there's about 10 things that either or all of us want gone. Like that's a pretty safe number.
10 seems a little high
But long,
actually. Because like the point is, I
well, if you
I know there's a bunch of stuff that we all want to ban, but I also think the tier's kind of settled into like at least a fun place. I don't regret having this meta for a couple weeks with just all this shit, and it's crazy. And it's hard to. It is not easy to build. I've been trying to build LTPL, um, but it's fun. I've liked messing with stuff. Let's see. Okay, Indeedee, Sirfetch'd, Machamp, uh, Kingdra. I'm not counting Sceptile. I think we're gonna ban Indeedee first and then see if it's still a problem. Um,
okay, Sigilif,
Sigilif is the big one I forgot about. Yeah, and then
Exploud.
Exploud and Duraludon. Duraludon's stupid. I don't know how you guys are maybes on Duraludon. It's so stupid. Like, there's not reasonable counterplay to it in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I just don't think I've played it enough yet. But regardless, it does look pretty stupid. I might change. I'm closer to ban than I am on no ban on that for sure.
I just like I can't imagine continuing to have a tier where like there's almost no Pokemon that stand a chance of ever switching in. So it's mostly just either 50/50s, stuff that can come in once and then it'll die the next time, or just like out offense it. It's really dumb. Um,
Yeah, I mean it's pretty fair. Like it's
It's
pretty
got
crazy.
it's got
Um,
what better special attack than a Alolan Exeggutor, but also 85 speed to do Draco Flash Cannon T-Bolt. Like what?
Yeah, the only
Why?
bad thing
yeah,
about it is it's SPDF. That's literally it.
Yeah.
It can get past like steals with
Well, the
that
the
iron
the
defense
fighting
stuff too.
weakness kind of helps.
Eh,
Um,
yeah, I guess.
yeah. I don't think the fighting weakness is relevant though because we have so many fighting types. Like in a non-fighting heavy meta, it would be
mhm.
pretty irrelevant
And
that it wouldn't
fighting
be
type
fighting. To be
coverage,
honest.
even if it's not like a fighting type,
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
pretty common. Stuff like that.
Yeah,
That's pretty much all that
exactly.
like helps balance it.
Our fighting types are so much better than the fighting resists that it's like, well, you're pretty much guaranteed a kill if you get your fighting type in at a certain point. So,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just a part of how the meta is playing out.
Yeah, if I had to say what's S rank in this meta, Sneasel, Indeedee, I'm sorry, not Sneasel, Sigilif, Indeedee, and Duraludon would be my top three Mons. Absolutely no contest. I don't even think it's more
Yeah,
broken than like Surfetched. It's just like more a Mon that you're sticking on like 50 times the amount of teams than you're realistically using Surfetched on. Even though Surfetched is unfair, like Exploud is unfair, it's a lot more in the builder than like how often you're going to use it. Whereas Duraludon, I do feel the need to use it on like every team.
yeah, that's fair. I because as well, dragon and steel typing is such a good typing just for resists and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that it makes so much sense to just use it continuously, and it's not easy to offensively pressure, as you said. So yeah, it's a really good one to just throw on a team if you have a spare slot.
But yeah, that's my big screed. Any random meta stuff that you want to talk about, go for it.
I just want to talk about how underrated Scrafty is. To be honest, I think for the amount of times that I've seen Scrafty, for how good it is, it's been very, very under the radar.
I'm gonna be honest. Every time I've started with Scrafty on a team, I realized it just had too many weaknesses and didn't work, and I swapped it for something else.
I'm 99% sure that that's what's been happening to everybody else as well, because whenever I've used it, the team has been, but Scrafty always didn't work. So I'm guessing in a more balanced meta where we have less of the 7+ broken things, Scrafty will definitely be that broken thing, which makes me want to preemptively do something about it.
Mm-hmm. I still don't even think it's gonna be the best fighting type. Scarf Passimian before that leaves is gonna be really good, and then Toxicroak is actually just nuts. Toxicroak's so good. It's like it's an absolute sleeper, but like it's so easy because Vaporeon has started to be a really good glue, I think, and we started to see a lot more of that in week 1 of LTPL. Other random stuff like Toxicroak sets up really easily, but is so devastating, dude. It shits damage and it eats most common fighting checks.
Yeah.
And then it's nasty plot, and then it's nasty plot, and it beats Weezing and Jellicent, and you're like, oh god.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I would say. I haven't seen too many like Palisand as like a defensive fighting check, which is, I guess, that was one of the more.
It's fairly popular. Like day one, like I think that was like a rocker a lot of people went to, but then they realized, wait, I need to run Gigalith. Like Gigalith resists half the broken.
Well, it's not just you have to run an Exploud stop pretty much, and it's pretty much always your rocker, and that's the big reason I still want to ban Exploud. I get like it's slow, it's kind of frail, although not frail enough because like you can't just revenge it with literally anything, which would really help. But like that's why Palisand dropped off. That's why Druddigon dropped off pretty fast. That's why. There's one other big rocker that was common at the start and then just died because it doesn't resist normal. Because what else? Oh, Piloswine. Palisand, Piloswine, Druddigon kind of just dropped off as rockers as far as I've seen because Exploud is so stupid that, like, even though it doesn't really win games on its own, the builder effect is like, you can't run any fat mons at all and not have one of those to just not, or you die to Exploud. Same like Surfetched.
Does Exploud pass the AB Frostmoth test?
I'm pretty sure it would 1v1 AB Frostmoth.
It would probably, probably 1v1, but I'm trying to see if it 2-hit KOs. This is an important experiment now for the health of the PU meta.
Okay, 252 Calm with Ice Scales and Assault Vest. Obviously, it has Fire Blast, which does not 2 KO. Boom Burst does 20 to 23.
Yo, that's incredible. That's actually guaranteed 4 KO. That's actually incredible. Who's running Fire Blast as coverage anyway? That's pretty good.
Yeah, it 1v1s, but only with Fire Blast, which is not ideal. Okay, so it doesn't pass the AV Frostmoth test. There you go. Perfectly balanced.
There you go. let's keep Exploud. We need this thing.
Mm-hmm. Anything else? I just want to say it is really funny that some of like the biggest, scariest things have not turned out to be the most broken so far. I'm sure they will be when we ban things, but Virizion, Tauros, and what's the other one? And Kingdra. I mean, Kingdra is broken, I want to ban it, but even so, they're not like as stupid as other things, and I think they were kind of the most stupid things at the like. Haha, PU got Virizion and Kingdra.
Yeah, I definitely say there's like an element. I think we summed it up well in the council, but
Megmortar too.
There's like an element of there's like an element of straight up, which is stupid broken, like a maybe broken, and then there's like a not looking like anything special broken. So like I genuinely think that Virizion Tauros will come into their own in a meta where it's not just overshadowed like relentlessly, because like if you're looking for a fighting type, like there's so many things that have so much damage output. Like Machamps are fetched, Scrafty. You're not looking at Virizion as that. Virizion is more of a thing where it's really good at unpicking balanced teams. That's what I found it really useful for in RU back in the day, where if it had the necessary coverage, it could really pull apart a balanced team and find loads of setup opportunities because of its huge for death. But
and they're not saying no usage.
There isn't really a balanced archetype.
It's just hard.
Yeah, of course.
But they're also going to change a lot with like Xploud totally changes the rockers, and what you can run. It makes Wheezing a lot more hard to run. So maybe, and not just Xploud, but like Indeedee and Sigilif and all that. So maybe with more Wheezing, Virizion becomes even less of a problem. Maybe Tauros becomes less of a problem because now you can use Polisand and not just die. Stuff like I don't actually know that they're going to become broken when we remove things. Even like that's super limited thought process. That's not for sure like, oh, they'll be fine. But it is a thought that like maybe we can just deal with Magmortar now.
I'd actually say Magmortar is probably one of the closer things to being like that.
Not a good example.
Definitely in Tauros' case and Virizion, they are looking like even with stuff like PUWC. Like PUWC is basically obsolete in this meta, but after you ban a lot of the high damage output stuff, it becomes more relevant with with each basically ban. So like there's loads of things that will come in, and suddenly Virizion and Tauros especially will maybe become a feature of the meta, like an A+S rank thing, rather than like a broken thing.
Yeah. Specs? Yeah. Anything else you want to add?
You guys covered it mostly. I just want to say how fun I think the meta is.
Hell
and
yeah.
I didn't think it would be.
Hell yes.
I got so overwhelmed when we got 80 mons, so it was cool.
Cool. All right, let's talk about World Cup. Oh boy, so we got 2 weeks of this. Semis in the old meta and finals in the new meta. So let's start with semis. I didn't figure out like a good way to pull up replays for this. Canada Northeast versus South. This was just an immediate bopping bloodbath. 5-1. Didn't even finish the last 2 games. Just really quick domination. I don't even remember much of like any of the games now because it's been too long, but I'll start pulling them up real fast. But if Specs, because you obviously took part in this, if you were like, oh yeah, that's a particularly good replay or whatever.
You two are the main contenders this week, so I'll let you guys do all the talking.
Mm-hmm.
I can't pull up all of them.
Yeah, I'm just trying to run through these.
I will say it took a lot for US South to get into playoffs. I feel like they used all their energy up trying to beat France in that last like gasp.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they got to playoffs, they're like, "All right, lads, we've made playoffs. Oh shit, we've already lost."
Yeah, I definitely understand that. Okay, I'm just flipping through games now. EV had a pretty solid win on SBPC. I think the crit didn't really matter.
Subs game was okay.
The what game?
Hey Subs game, the DPP. It was Life for Bayonet and I think it was Specs Kadabra.
Oh yeah, Hey Sub just went in that game, kind of wrecked Sky Solo. I remember that one now. Sensei versus who's Sensei fighting? Doesn't say the right name in the replay. Yeah, Asa. Asa had a really bad team here. I'm not gonna lie. Absolutely died to Lycanroc pretty hard. Absolutely just free win for Smash Turtonator. Yeah, that was really rough. Just the team looked like it had reasonable mons, but didn't cover things. And Sensei also like happened to have the Turtonator. Like, no, you're just dead. PDT Boof, I remember, is actually a pretty interesting close game. Yeah, this was interesting. It's hard to be like, oh yeah, you should definitely go back to this because it's pretty old now. But I like this game. I think they both like tried to play for their late game win cons, but Boof didn't have enough to pressure PTT's Pharisee and like couldn't pull off the win in the end.
Yeah, it felt like definitely in this game that the balance had just enough to just like stave off the pressure of Boof's offense team.
Mm-hmm.
I think Boof needed a bit more offensive pressure for it to really work, like a bit more damage output from something. Other than like, because he has a lot of pivots here. He has like Jolteon, Wishy, and the Null. So you need a bit of damage to use that, but he didn't really have it. Like all he had was a Hitmonchan, which at the end of the day is just gonna die to the Garbodor. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. PTT had a really good like.
As close as he did though.
Yeah, PTT had a really good star turn this PL. He did really well overall. Definitely like South's biggest asset, I think. Oh yeah, and then Kata Star Master was just a wild game that came down to Coil Sandaconda versus Defense Curl Miltank. And Star ended up cleaning it in the end. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't even have anything to say about ORAS. Northeast Canada was just like much better in this series. They're the better team. Props to South for making it here, but was not close. And then there's
some merit to be had.
Oh, I'm sorry. There's more.
Yeah, I think there's some merit to be had by making playoffs in the first place. It's a stacked pool, and to be one of the playoffs teams is
absolutely
an achievement in itself.
No, I mean beating France was a really big deal.
Yeah.
But then you have a pretty opposite set. Midwest Italy, really close. I think our teams were pretty evenly matched here. Came down to a 5-3 victory with multiple games that really could have gone the other way. This was a crazy set.
Yeah, I was watching from the stands for Midwest with my pom-poms. So I was kind of like laughing when Italy brought 3 times the really shoddy stall that we all thought was shoddy, but yeah, I feel like Italy also burnt out on this tour. They didn't really have the.
They said they did, yeah.
I don't know if they did, but it felt like it. If you bring the same stool, it's not the best. Like it's been beat a few times. To 3 times in the same series, it's like, okay, well, you've probably run out of ideas then, haven't you?
Yeah, no, they openly said like they just kind of got tired with all the constant tier changing and playing this one when the new meta was already out there, and I totally get it. And there's not much we can do if we're gonna host P World Cup and we want to do it at all. That just like that happens. I can't blame them. It does suck though, and yeah, they brought the same stall team 3 separate times. And it went to 1 and 2, and that was a big deal for us winning SS. I do want to shout out Kither. Kither Galbia was the first game in the series on Friday, and Galbia brought the stall, and Kither played really well to beat the stall. We're all very happy and impressed with that victory. He just absolutely went in.
Yeah, good job, man.
Yeah, then Avarice auto lost to it, just didn't have anything for it and just died because stall be like that, and we weren't expecting stall again. And then much later, for the very last game of the set, Expulso brought a hard counter team to stall and won it.
Yeah,
and that was how we clinched the series.
Yeah, that's pretty typifying of the series, to be honest. It was like, yeah, I'm just going to bring a hard counter team to the stall, and if they bring it, they lose. And then they just brought it, and he was just like, yep, this is fine. This is good.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the counter team didn't even go like exactly as we wanted. It was pretty interesting because it was Trapper, Fire Spin, Perish Song, Altaria, and it turned out the stall was Shed Shell Miltank, which had never been revealed before. And it didn't work. That was really funny.
Yeah, that's an interesting part.
Let's see what else happened. Llamas had a, DPP win. I won via timeout in a game that really looked like it could have gone either way, mostly depending on what Corkscrew's Drift Bloom set was. That was pretty interesting. Like, I'm gonna be honest, he was mostly, I feel like I would have been hard winning if I didn't get frozen. so I don't feel super bad about picking up the timeout win, but yeah. It would have been really interesting. If the blimp was calm mind, I don't think I had much of a shot, but if it was physical, I think I was pretty I had solid outs, I think.
Yeah. You just hate to see those.
Just skipping through the rest. Kicks Confide. This was interesting. Kicks brought more sub Miltank stuff. I love offensive Miltank. It's so cool. Good win from Confide there, but not a lot to say about the game. Forgot to turn the sound off. Oh yeah, and then our old gens.
What cry was that?
That was Ninjask leading off in Hond versus Hone confirmed. I do think it's worth talking about old gens because we clearly have issues there. We had to sub in Llamas over Brufasta this week, and he got a good win. That was really nice. But we also had to put in Hoenn confirmed over Bag of Tricks, who had personal stuff, and Hoenn did not do super well this game. Kind of messed up and lost. Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. That was next week. This week, no, that wasn't even next week. That was just Sergio's game. This is the game where Hoenn confirmed missed a focus blast when he would have won. I'm just forgetting what happened because it's too long ago. I was like, that's the game. Nope. This is the game Hoenn confirmed missed a focus blast when he would have won the game. So I guess that did make our set somewhat closer. Sergio's game versus Everardo was the one that was just incredibly stupid in every way. Everything about this game was just what the fuck.
Oh, this was the Monferno one. Yeah.
Yeah, Sergio tries for a really greedy sub early and doesn't get it, but then crits the Mawile. Then Everardo tries to trap Simipour with Scarf Goth and doesn't activate Torrent, just barely so it can live. Then Sergio doesn't scout for Scarf Rampardos after missing with Zweilous like 8 billion times. Then Sergio gets to a win, but doesn't try to beat the Ursaring with Monferno and just keeps switching and Intimidate stalling until he just loses. Like, for absolutely no reason. He had pretty good odds with SD Monferno. As long as he set it up early enough, he had pretty good odds with Sleep Talk. But no, he just he never did and lost. It was really stupid.
Yeah, there was no way he was going to win switching around like that. So I don't know if he like gave you guys the thought process, but I'm not sure what that was.
I don't know. That was a bizarre one. We didn't really have an answer after that. But fortunately, Expulso clutched with the stall counter team right after that. But I do think it's a bit of a precursor of what's to come, because in the finals, Northeast Canada versus Midwest, you guys ended up winning 5-2, and we definitely had some old gens had some old gens issues through the whole tour, and I don't think they really helped here.
Yeah, well,
I mean, it would have looked better if I didn't get lucked, but even then, I think that was more of a decider than SS.
Yeah, I think when you look at Northeast Canada, it's just hard to deny that every single player is just hard to beat, like in every slot. So it's like you have to perform basically an upset in every slot in order to beat them, or like in 5 slots out of 8. And
yeah.
It's hard as well when you can hardly beat some of the poorer teams in the tour in old gens. So when you account for everything in that, it's like, well, it's going to be tough. Like Lamas did his best. Like he brought out like a good win versus Eevee, but like even with that, it's like, wow, you still have to beat Soulgazer. Hoenn has to beat Finchinator. Brufas has to beat Haysup, and that's to like win in old gens. That's a lot of things that have to go right on top of Lams win in the first place.
Yeah, and we pulled it off once in group, but even then, a lot of that was just on having the SS core, which is a little different than like the solidity of old gens. Before we go into the games, I did want to ask Specs if you guys like went into this week preparing or planning any different because you had lost to us in group stages, if that like affected how you guys prepped it all, if you were just like, no, we're just gonna win
No, I think we had kind of come together better as a team at that during this point. And before, I don't think we did. Like, the team chat wasn't as active. You know, we weren't as like chatting together. So I think by this point, we didn't really have to change much. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, let's see these games. So the first one was Haysup versus Brufasa, and honestly, like if Brufasa won, I think overall he would have had like a pretty reasonable World Cup. I think it's like, but with losing this, I think overall it just comes out to he just didn't have a great World Cup. Haysup had a really interesting sub wall rain, which is not really a thing, and got a really useful early crit that just started Brufasa off on a really bad end, and then Brufasa dodges Stone Edge to kind of make it up, or two Stone Edges, to just like get back into the game. But even then, Haysup's late game was just really solid here. It was going to be a very hard matchup with Haysup's like, yeah, the mixed muck with HP Grass and the sneak, plus the wall rain early on, I think was going to be really difficult for Brufasa to work around. And if we're being honest, the Stone Edge misses probably helped him a lot more than the crit fucked him up. So yeah, I think this was going to be a really hard matchup for him. I think Brufasa brought a relatively standard team, and Haysup brought some wild stuff that was like anti-meta and had the anti-meta call out on point there.
Yeah, I feel like Haysup is usually really good with that as well. Just analyzing what's underrated in the meta and then bringing that versus a meta team. That's certainly what I felt he's built a brand of in DPP. When I've seen him play, he's very good at doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he really wanted to use some out there stuff this week. He had been posting about like Arbok and stuff like that, and I mean I trust him with just about anything, so I said yeah, go for it. And the wall rain.
I did want to ask. I know that like the wall rain is a bit more out there. What was the Glaceon and the Soul? So Glaceon's not Specs, which is the only thing I've ever seen in DPP.
I think it was plate.
It was just plate. And what was the Soul Rock? Because I don't remember ever seeing. It was Scarf Soul Rock. Okay.
Scarf with like Zen, EQ, Boom, Edge.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a really interesting anti-meta team. Let me respond real quick. Okay. Yeah, so that was the only early Thursday game. Every other game happened on Sunday. I was the first one, and this was just frustrating. I decided to full stall Soulgazer because I literally never stall like ever anyone. The last time I stalled, I think, was with this team in the 2018 PU Circuit playoffs versus Katut. And I just brought an updated version of that. You were saying something, Ajahn?
Yeah, I remember that game actually. That's like, it's very vivid.
That game was crazy.
I remember those types of games.
Because I had a really good stall matchup, and then Katut haxed me, and then I barely played it all the way back with the Persian sweep. That's all I remember about it by now. But like, I lost years of my life.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was almost the birth of 5+1 stall. That was like, people validated it as like an actual thing that you could actually use.
Mm-hmm. And the team was really good back then. And Soulgazer, again, anti-meta nonsense. Figgy Berry SD, Obama Snow was the main thing here that is like, oh, that's pretty out there and pretty problematic for stall.
Yeah, he took one straight out of Mom's book there, I think. Well, sort of out of Mom's book, but
Mom did sub Figgy early in the tour, I think.
Yeah, Figgy isn't really a hugely common item on a Bomber Snow, but yeah, the idea of a physical Bomber Snow with Figgy Berry is, I guess we should credit that to many, because I hadn't seen it before that game, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. And the rest of the team is a bit different. Like, none of the mons themselves are that crazy B-stack. Like Scarf Lantern, the Z Swanna, the Tox Pursuit Skunk. all comes out to be like a pretty different kind of team, which I assume he actually built for this week. Is this the first time Soulgazer built for P World Cup?
Build this.
He didn't?
No, this is Gums.
Oh, this is Gums. Okay. Still, I really thought the team was really interesting. That being said, this game just kind of sucked. I did not see the Abomasnow coming early at all, and I wasn't playing as carefully as I should have. I also really didn't think it would be Tox Pursuit Skunk. I was fairly certain it would be Defog. I'm sorry, not Defog. Substitute with like toxic substitute stuff. So I didn't see the Pursuit coming. I got my Altaria chipped. I never defogged all that, and then Abomasnow comes in, and is just an absolutely massive problem threat, and pretty much all I can do is like take a bunch of damage and sack PUWC, and play out of it and stuff. And I still have the win here. Is the thing. The game just does like I also lose Oddno like right after to get rid of the Z move on Swanna. And this was pretty intentional. I was pretty certain it'd be like a Flyaneme or a Wartarian, but I was sacking Oddno because I'm like, from here I can win this game. I actually have like really good stall odds. He just can't beat what I have left. But he can, because he Hurricane Confuse self hits my Articuno to death, and that's the end of the game. And that was fucking really upsetting. And I know afterwards, I think Gum was saying that Soulgazer had a shot. I absolutely don't see it. I thought the only shot Soulgazer has if it's Sword Stance, Still Volley, Fairy, but Soulgazer said it wasn't. It was just defog. I think this game was absolutely over. He just doesn't have the tools to break my stuff. He doesn't have much recovery left. I can pretty much kill. I can almost solo his team with Articuno. It's pretty over.
Yeah, even if it was Sword Stance Still Volley Fairy, there's no way you're getting through a Mudsdale at that high health as well.
No, so, it can do it. Like, if you play around the Mudsdale enough with like U-turn stuff, I've got to rest. It can do it. But without that,
yeah,
all you've got to threaten me really is the Talk Skunk and like trying to set rocks. That's not enough. You don't win this game. Mudsdale itself also, like, Earthquake Rock Slides his whole team.
It's good for at least 1 or 2 kills.
Yeah, this is just like a lost game because my stall matchup was just that good that I could afford to just fuck up and almost die versus Abomasnow. But that was too much, and then I just lose the game, and that just fucking sucked. Like,
Do be like that.
I don't know. I can't imagine saying like, no, he's got a shot. Like, with what? I don't know. So that's why I'm willing to push this. So starting out at the 0-2, then you go into Finch Hoenn Confirmed, another game that is less. I more understand why some people said that Finch probably had good odds and like without luck or whatever. But I don't super agree. I think Hoenn really got screwed here. Really bad sleep stuff in the early game gave Finch like a much bigger advantage with webs than I think he otherwise would have had.
I don't know. I thought we had a really good matchup here.
And then,
not gonna lie.
And then I think Hoenn pretty much has all the tools he needs to outplay Finch, as long as Chinchou just gets to Volt on Basculin. I don't think Finch has good outs there. I'm not even like, if Arbok hadn't gotten fully paralyzed and Sucker plus Volt killed Basculin, even better. But even without that, it seems to me like Finch is very close to losing to Scarf Gabite, and very close to losing to Cacturn, and pretty much the only out there with like also not having the Basculin pressure would be to like again get that perfect outplay. Oh, it's not Scarf Gabite. This whole game I was like, yeah, I think Hoenn's got a really good shot with Scarf Gabite winning. No. That was my whole reason for saying that just fucking sucked. It's not Scarf Gabite. Dude, I could have sworn it was on this team. I guess we fucking changed that. All right.
Yeah, it was always going to come down to like Kadabra getting rid of that one thing that like Ursaring or Electro needs. Like, I don't know. Like the flinches obviously sucked, but
yeah, no. Without Scarfgabite, I think Finch is definitely favored here. This whole time, I could have sworn we brought Scarfgabite. That's just a whoopsie. Yeah, with that, I think Webs is a lot more problematic to face than I had realized. Yeah.
Your only real out versus Webs at a certain point is just Cacturn and Sucker Punch. Was it Sucker Punch?
it was.
I mean, we did get to Defog, but that was also a Basculin roll.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, without Scarfgabite, that's just. Oh no, Swan is faster. Yeah, if Swan had died to Basculin, that literally didn't matter. I don't think that's a huge deal. But yeah, without Scarfgabite, you don't have the outs to. You have some outs, but you're not favored by any means. You'd have to really outplay Finch there. Okay. And yeah, so we start out 0-3 like that. And I said this in the PU chat. The games felt a lot like the whole series felt a lot closer than 0-3, I guess. All of the games were kind of close. One of the games was just like outright stupid, but what are you going to do about that? So at this point, it's actually like devastating for Midwest, even though the games had felt really close, which I just thought was an interesting dynamic, but doesn't really matter. Kither versus Sensei Axu happened. I just don't think this was a great game from us. It wasn't the best matchup, but we just got like almost every prediction or 50-50 scenario pretty wrong. And also I think kind of messed up by not knocking again with Passimian just to weaken the Silvally Steel. And we kind of just lost this game pretty quickly. I think the Sneasel matchup was going to be hard, but not impossible. Jellicent, Passimian, Regirock is like not nothing. But I think the game looks extra terrible because we got so much wrong so early.
Well, there's no removal.
Yeah, and the Spike did a lot of work.
So Spikes with the Regirock getting knocked, like, I think you were always going to lose this game to Sneasel if we didn't fuck up, like, at all.
Yeah, this team honestly needed boots just on everything.
Yeah, no, I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't think it was great. I just don't think it's as, like, I'm not saying this is a favored matchup at all. I'm saying I think we had a bad matchup, but I don't think it was as bad as, like, the immediate destruction that we saw in the game. Just because in addition to that, we also got a lot, like I said, a lot happened very wrong. Sensei got like so much momentum and free terms all the time at the beginning of this game. The one sort of threat we had was Passimian early on, and I really wish we'd just knocked Silvally Steel because Passimian's useless at this point, and chipping that and just going much more aggressive, not sludge bombing into it as well when we did that really would have helped so much.
Yeah, I agree.
But this was hard. It was not. I think Sensei's team was the one out of the SS teams, the one very different looking team that we weren't ready for. Not quite anti-meta in the same way as like Soulgazer and Haste-Up went, but not the same thing that you're used to seeing.
It's just a different interpretation on the same meta that everyone else is playing.
Yeah, it trades very different matchups. You know, it's a lot. It doesn't have the same like Explode or Kingdra checks as most teams do, but it's a lot different to be very good. Sort of against like the fatter stuff we brought with the no defog, especially. Very nice versus Sigilif and Indeedee as well.
We didn't see that much Indeedee this week, did we?
No, it was a lot more in LTPL. Very little Indeedee for just how absolutely broken it is. But speaking of absolutely broken things, you have Obi versus Confide. This was much more two very standard teams from both sides. Like, Obi's thing was very basic. I think Plume was a little less common when he brought it, but that's, like, about it. Like, this is just very straight up. and we had a Virizion team, which I guess is the less common, but the teams share a lot of mons, pretty similar and all that. And I don't have a lot to say about major like misplays or crazy stuff or whatever. I thought this was just a pretty good game overall, and generally well played by Confide to win this. I don't think he had like a huge advantage or anything.
The only one thing was I think the Draco from Duraludon was a roll on Talonflame. I think Gum had gotten like the spread of it and we calced. I think it did like 99 or 98 or something.
Talonflame, let me see. I pretty sure I remember our spread. Yeah, it has a lot of Spadef. Duraludon.
We were timid, I believe.
Yeah, it definitely was a roll, and that would have changed the whole. That would have absolutely changed the whole game.
Yeah, well, we would have just won with Vileplume, but
yeah, if we died to Draco right then, we would have just lost immediately.
But I mean, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, that's like a super early Draco roll or whatever. That's like that's a difficult one.
I enjoyed the rest of this game, to be honest.
It was fun. It was a really whack back and forth on the Vileplume because we were very much not using Rotom to kill it, which like gives no strength sap healing and has Hex. I think because he was afraid of losing to Obi's Scarf Passimian in the end, so that came a lot closer. So that was our 4-1 now, and yeah, annoying because like it really should have been 3-2 here, and we're like, oh shit, we really need to fight for our lives. And then Llamas loads up with my grass spam double SD grass team from PUPL versus Evagero, which I did not entirely realize we were using until pretty late. I was like, okay, you know what, Llamas can do it, fuck it. This was a funny game. It was a really funny game, I think. I don't really know how Llamas won. He just kind of did.
Yeah, the Vileplume tanking. I was actually so surprised that the Vileplume just tanked the +2 Ice Beam just straight up like a champ. Like that was hilarious to me.
Oh yeah, it's Spadef SD Vileplume. It's good shit.
Yeah, without that, I was thinking Simipour was just gonna kill everything.
Yeah, my initial interpretation was Scarf's Way, so it wasn't gonna kill everything, but it was gonna basically switch out after that and just be like, okay, well, what are you gonna do about this versus when I bring in versus Natu, for example?
Yeah, Zweilous put in massive amounts of work. Gabite died pretty early, and from there, it beats everything except for the Mawile. I don't know, very weird game.
The Mawile put in counter work as well, but eventually died to the Fisk. The Fisk surviving was really big in that case.
We had missed overheat on Fisk, so it was able to get just enough.
Yeah. And then so it's what 4-2. You got 2 SS games left. Boof Avarice and Star Expulso. And yeah, that's pretty scary from Northeast, but also Avarice and Expulso have been doing pretty well this tour. Unfortunately, we just load into a really bad matchup here. I don't really think it's our team. I think this is just one of those things. Like the Kither team is like, yeah, removal would have been a lot nicer to have. This is one of those where it's just facing so much specific shit is really hard. Golurk in particular was one thing I knew that like really messed this up, and there's only so much you can do to prep for stuff, and Golurk's really hard to change a team for. But add on to that, the Scarf Trick Persian is just not what you want to see at all. Plus the Surfetched Vikavolt is like not the worst, but not really fun. It's just like this isn't what you want to face. And I think also getting Duraludon slept by Vileplume very early on was kind of really bad, because the only out we had was spamming moves with Duraludon, trying to kill everything in return with that. That was the win con. That was the only win path. And as soon as that got slept, I think we had pretty much nothing. just don't think we could have won. That was how we had to play that game, and we just didn't do that.
Yeah. The thing is, after webs, even with that win path, even after webs, you're just letting Golak again, and Golak gets again.
Yeah.
So, it was really sucky. As soon as that happened, it was just like, oh well, this is kind of over now.
Yeah.
It was also Trick. It was also Trick Golak. Also not fun to face.
Like setup wouldn't, outdo it. Like as soon as, because I'd asked what we're using, like the pace, and when I saw this, I kind of knew we won the tour. Like this matchup was so bad.
Yeah.
Like, and it must be a sucky feeling. Like I can only imagine, but like. I don't know. I don't know how we could have had a better matchup.
Yeah, there was very little to do about this. Like
yeah.
That is going to happen sometimes. The only way you beat this matchup is like not have that be the last game of the tour, and Expulso loads up with an equally good matchup. That's the only thing you can do.
Yeah.
And that was the game. That was the set. That was the series. That was the tour. Northeast Canada, P World Cup champions. And I think
I would just like to.
I was just gonna say I think despite I wish it had gone a little farther. I wish we had been able to play the last game, and I especially fucking wish I didn't get hacks or whatever. I wish we could have seen more of this tour, and I think that's partially speaks to like how good it was overall. Northeast Canada, certainly no one thinks like they're undeserving winners or not good, because like they were the best looking team loading into this and only lost a single week, only even tied a single week, like didn't even tie any weeks, like only lost 1 week and won everything else. Super strong, dominant, fun people. I just wanted to see more out of, and I really like this tour. I don't know how stupid it's going to be to fit into a year with a circuit, but I'm looking forward to it again anyway.
Yeah, I feel like it's been a decent tour. I enjoyed the format. I feel like a lot of lower tier World Cups that I've been in the past, they usually just drag on forever, and I felt like this one lasted the correct amount of time, so to speak. So I was pretty happy with how it ended out overall. Like it didn't take too long to finish, and it wasn't dragging on forever. But yeah, I would just like to say that Northeast Canada still did hacks the UK, and we would have won otherwise. So
okay, sure.
I think.
All right.
I think it was. I think I said in the disc to Northeast, but not Canada.
Yeah, I agree. I do like the format. I think the one thing is we might not be putting those two teams together again. That's certainly a reasonable thing to say when both regions are pretty strong on their own and whatnot.
As far as I don't know. We paid them. Slipped them a 20. I think a lot of the enjoyment I got out of the tour was actually from a tiering perspective, because of all the drops. Like we got to see a bunch of games in different metas, and that really helped with like decision making.
Yeah.
So as much as I hated like having to try to help like build new metas, I think it helped the fun aspect a bit.
Yeah, it was
a good point, actually.
Very fresh all the way through.
Yeah, and I enjoyed that. So yeah, go team.
Good job, bud.
Let me see. I'm just trying to pull up all these LTPL replays now, because there's no. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I got them. Yeah, I think that's all I got to say on PU World Cup. So, congrats on your team's victory, Specs.
Thank you.
Let's see if you guys can also win LTPL, because hey, we got a third PU team tour back to back. This one's got the weird format where you can choose tiers and whatever, and a lot of PU got chosen the first 2 weeks. This week we have 5 different games, and there's only 8 teams and 4 matchups, so hell yeah, PU. You can just hit them chronologically. let me send you guys the replays because they're like all over the thread and not easy to find. Me versus Kink is the first one. I played this right after getting hacked by Soulgazer, and I got hacked again, and I was very unhappy about that. It was very saddening, and it was unfortunate too. This was, if I had had better sets, I wouldn't have needed to not get hacked, but I also would have won this anyways. So like, I don't like Kink's team. I don't think he built it. It's from someone else. People have said they've seen it before. I don't know from where. It's built around like Specs Heliolisk plus Thwacky and then a win con of Grassy Seed Yuxi, and it's all very interesting. But I can fucking button on his team for free if he doesn't get a lot of early like momentum and shit. And he crits me and then I min roll him, and between those two things he just gets like so much advantage in the early game that I just can't have my free late game win. Because Yuxi's just not really a problem between as long as I get to have my Duraludon alive and keep breaking things, I'm never afraid of that. But he crits Gigalith, so I can't preserve it, and then my Heliolisk min rolls his Aggron to not kill it, and I just lose that when he has like no real Heliolisk check at all. And that's just the fucking game. Like, just fuck that.
Yeah.
Really, really, really painful.
I will say I like the idea of protect like Lefty's Aggron on a bulky set.
Yeah,
like
it was
even
good.
If you didn't min roll, like I think it's a really cool idea, because it can be like hard to kill sometimes. So I like that idea.
For sure. No, I respect that. And if I had been EQ on Gigalith, there was no chance to min roll. If I had been stored power or Beetle, I also could have won that way because I'd have actual crit odds. I just wasn't, and that sucked. But you know, there's only a level, like I only have to be, you know, X amount of good, and if I had been better than that, I would have won, despite bullshit. But I hit the threshold necessary to win this game, and I didn't, and that was just I was real mad. I was extra salty losing 2 Team Tour games in a row like that.
I believe the term is tilted.
Yeah. I was. But we got other games to hit. Evagero Termi. Evagero also got hacked. And also lost World Cup. And also lost World Cup right before. Albeit not in the same way, I guess. Did miss Overheat versus Stunfisk, I think. I don't remember what move.
Yeah.
So yeah, Eevee also caught my bug and lost those games back to back like that. Pretty fun teams from both sides. I liked what they were messing with. Eevee's got a Colossal. You don't really see that. But Termi needed to crit the Sigilif with Surfetched to win the game. Crit the Cosmic Power Sigilif, I think.
It was CM Grassy Seed.
It was CM Grassy Seed. Sorry, yeah. More Grassy Seed stuff. 2 Thwackies when we saw it. None of them in World Cup at all. So that was interesting. But yeah, Surfetch just crit. I think he was actually Leak. I don't think he's kidding. Sorry. It's Termi. It might not be. I'm just pretty sure I remember testing with I'm pretty sure I remember testing with Termi and it wasn't Bandit or Life Orb. But I don't know. That might have just been a meme. Either way, crits the Sigilif to win that game. Fucking cool.
I'm helping Evie's team so the certs a bit, but
yeah. Lax Lighthouses is our no PU mains game. These were some pretty odd teams, I think. I like the first 3 members of Lax's team. Vikavolt, mad good. Pessimian is fine. Basculin, mad underrated as well. But then the other 3 are just Carbink Cryogonal?
Yeah, I don't know.
And Cryogonal did totally beat Calmine Sigilif. Like, to it KO'd it with Ice Beam and all that. Like, fucking did the work there. But like, what?
What if he faced anything else? Like, whatever.
Weird choices. I don't know. Lax ended up cleaning up with Basculin in. Although the freeze greed was really funny. Gets a freeze. Cragnell freezes Sirfetch'd and then tries to recover, and Sirfetch'd unthaws first time against and close combats it. That was really funny. But yeah, Lax had really good late game odds because Lighthouses didn't have much for Basculin. Basculin, really good, really underrated.
Yeah, I think Basculin is one of the better ones in the tier, to be honest.
It's just so stupid if you run into a team with like a fat Vaporeon you don't have much else for, and it can be really painful. But there's so many matchups where it's like, yep, I'm gonna just hit the flip turn.
Yeah, just hit flip turn and literally abuse what comes in. Like that's a classic Basculin.
Wee classic. It only got flip turn like months ago.
Yeah, no, but it's like classic in terms of what it does in this recent adaptation of SS.
Yeah, that okay. I don't think that's classic.
Classic Basculin.
Yeah, classic Duraludon and PU.
Wow. Okay, guys. Thanks a lot for the like gas. I appreciate that.
Yeah, okay. TJ versus Mionda. Mionda is on a team with. I'm sorry. Mionda's it's Liss. Liss is on a team with pretty much no PU support. This Avarice and Llama's trying to play other tiers as well. And Catalystic played in World Cup, I guess, but I don't know. This team wasn't good. Had some threats in the matchup. TJ almost threw, but he also started out really TJ had a really good early game. Started out in a really great position, almost threw and barely managed to clutch it out.
Yeah.
Weird game. Like Mionda's team was just not.
Yeah, I feel like Mionda's team has a lot of these semi-wall breakery things. Like, of course, the Machamp is a massive breaker in itself, and Golurk is really good, but he had nothing to really bring it in and abuse them. Like, he had the Silvally Steel, but he didn't pivot with it once, so I don't even know if it has U-turn or parting shot. So, well, he has U-turn on the Serena.
The pivot, is AV Tsarina, I'm thinking, and then Webb's U-turn Rabombi. But yeah, like, it's four big threats in Machamp, Golurk, Tsarina, and Sigilif, and then they're kind of just there and don't really fit together. I don't know. Like, you can easily imagine a different game where they totally overwhelmed TJ's team, but the fact that the team didn't come together defensively at all also really hurt him. Early on, TJ gets to Wisp the Golurk and Brave Bird the Tsarina with Talonflame, because Mionda's got no T-Flame resist. Or, like, anything that beats it. Like, TJ should have soloed with T-Flame. I don't even remember how it died here. Hang on. Why didn't T-Flame just solo this game? Let's see. U-turn to...
Rock slide thingy.
Oh yeah, he switched it into Silvally Steel's Rock Slide, and that's the only reason Mionda had a shot, because TJ didn't scout for that. Okay. I do like TJ's team though. I think it comes together nicely. The only thing is Glare Heliolisk is just no, please don't. Heliolisk is annoying enough. I don't want people running Glare on it. I don't care. Like I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying I don't like it.
He glared me in tests and I felt offended. Like, what? Why did you hit me with that? Like, use another move.
Heliolisk already has big 4 moveset syndrome because you want Volt, T-Bolt, Hyper, Grass Knot, Focus Blast, maybe Surf if you're crazy. I don't know. What else would it run? I'm pretty sure there's like... I feel like this is one of those mons that has a crazy move pool, right? It can Weather Ball.
That's like Solar Beam, I think, right?
I don't think you're going to Solar Beam.
The Sun thing?
I mean, you could run Heliolisk Sun, I'm sure, but Gigalith running around is...
We're gonna unironically end up banning Glare from the tier. It's gonna be hilarious.
Helios gets Scale Shot? Dude. That's really funny.
But yeah, I think Liss's team, I actually like the team. It's just not...
It's just not good?
It's not consistent.
I like the team, it just sucks.
No. it can win. Like I think it can win every other match very easily.
But you can't beat T-Flame, but you lose to T-Flame. You just lose to T-Flame. No.
Oh man, look, you rocked with it. Come on.
It's also
They're
like
always gonna go hard T-Flame.
it is very close to auto losing to a bunch of other things too. Most Scarfers kind of smack it around. Kingdra is like a slight chip on Sarina away from just sweeping, all that kind of stuff. Like, it's cool. You brought a lot of fun breaker mons. I just don't think it works. I don't know.
I'd run that team.
Drud LST is definitely the most interesting game of the week. They both have very different teams. It was fun to watch. I like this one a lot. Drud's team was made by ZS. It's got dual poison, the offensive boots Alolan Raichu, which is starting to take off, and a Scyther, an SD Scyther. Really different stuff. And LST is using Aromatisse and Rhydon, which we haven't really seen much of, and also Charizard, which I think is criminally underrated, but also really hard to use, so I don't blame like nobody for using it. Like, it's really good, but also it's kind of hard.
I just wouldn't use Fog on it.
I think
I'd just run like Boots offensive.
Yeah, just like Hurricane, Fire Blast, Focus Blast is really good, but also A, hard to use and fit on teams, and B, misses a lot. But when it hits shit, it just murders the tier. It's like, dude. That's why I was running Dragon Dance, because you don't miss moves.
Yeah, and you also hit Gigalith with like EQ.
Really cool team. Drud has an amazing Scyther matchup. It's really good here. It pivots, it knocks, it does the dishes, whatever you say.
Does the dishes.
It does your taxes. It cleans the bathroom. It does pretty, like, it does a lot of strong pivoting, and he takes like a really good early advantage just spamming that shit. Should have won the game with it. I think switched out from LST's Passimian trying to scout for Rock Slide, which I just don't think it was, unless LST hard U-turned on it, because he knew Drud was going to scout or whatever. But Drud really has like a big advantage, mostly due to Scyther just putting in abnormal amounts of work for most of the game. Not getting Scald burnt twice, I guess, kind of helps at the end. But like at that point, you pretty much got it. And then he misses cross chop and loses.
Why was it cross chop?
Because cross chop is 100 base power and drain punch is only 85. But if he was drain punched, he would have just won the game. Like, Scarf Toxicroak did win there. But
I'm just wondering what you're hitting with cross chop that like Gunk Shot wouldn't already, like, for the damage.
I don't know. I don't agree because misses suck. Yeah, there were also points where you could have just like not switched out Scyther. Maybe also going Scyther on the Passimian in like that very end game situation, just trying to call out the Earthquake. That was probably the play too. No, I mean that was definitely the play. Once you miss, you gotta try that. Yeah, like Drudge shouldn't have lost this, but he did.
We need a new rule: no cross chop.
No cross chop.
There's so many better moves.
Just
but yeah,
inaccurate
So
moves.
fighting resist.
and we
So
did.
let's fighting resist. Let's go. Up, guys.
So that's it for that week. Week 2 has already come up, and we didn't ban anything because we're waiting for the January shift. The tier's still insane, and managers went, let's do more PU. So, there's 7 games of PU this week out of a possible 8. All but one team said, yes, we want to choose PU to play. And even like the Mionda team that struggled with PU last week chose PU again. versus a team with Termi and Lax. Like, what? You've got Atomic Llamas and Liss. I keep saying Mionda, it's Liss. Atomic Llamas and Liss versus Termi and Lax. Escavaliers chose to play PU there. That, like, what? The Chinchinos also chose to do it versus my team, the Ducklets. So there's me and then no one else for PU, so Jerry, versus Sensei Axio and Drud. So they chose to try to PU me, which I get. I lose a lot. So we got those matchups. Both the Articunos and the Gastrodons chose PU. So you have LST versus TJ and PDT versus Zamog. That's gonna be pretty fun. Like I get why both teams chose PU there. And then one of the meteorites of the Mismagius did not choose PU. Probably the Mismagius because they're playing Evigaro in it. Evigaro versus Kink. Which, I don't know, I still favor Evigaro. Kink has good records between Snake and like this first win now, but a lot of it has been very lucky. But still, this is a crazy meta where you can pull out anything and who knows what's going to happen. Yeah, just absolutely insane that so many managers went, yes, let's do more PU.
Just want to see the chaos.
Just bonkers. We'll ban things before the week is over, but we'll still be playing with them. It's going to be funny.
I bet 100% everybody is just going to avoid PU after we ban everything that's actually good.
Yeah, because it doesn't look as cool.
I will say that Jerry, Sensei, Drud, and I have all done. We have a gentleman's agreement with each other, so we're using no Machamp, no Surfetched, and no Terrain.
That's a good set of GAs, right?
I mean, I think Sensei requested it, and Jerry said whatever, and then I was like, Drud, do you want to do it? I don't really care. And he was like, yeah. It's not the rules I would have come up with. I wouldn't have even put one in. I'm like, sure, whatever. Yeah, I agree. Duraludon is something I would absolutely have on that list. I think it's that broken easily.
Yeah, it's probably the second best one as far as like craziness goes.
Yeah.
Sick.
It's gonna be really fun. Okay. Well, this has only been like an hour 10. Let's do Gimmick Corner. Let's do that. How about that? There's so many new things in this meta. I'm gonna throw out a couple things. I was using a gimmick room service Malamar to come in at the end of Trick Room and get a speed boost. It's not good, but it's really funny. If you want something just like, hey, that's fun. Charizard's sick. Orbeetle is good. I swear to God, guys. Pivot Orbeetle, bulky boosting Orbeetle. Either way, it's not 2-hit KO'd by Indeedee, and it outspeeds. I'm talking specs Indeedee. Only Mystical Fire 2-hit KOs. It's not 2-hit KO'd by Timid Specs Indeedee, Expanding Force, and it outspeeds Indeedee. That's crazy. Nothing does that except for Dark types and Orbeetle. It pivots into a surprising amount of stuff. You can take the Duraludon Draco and just recover off or U-turn. Like, it's genuinely useful as just like a Gloomon. I really like it. It's fun to use. I swear to God, Orbeetle's not stupid. But I get why no one's using it. There's so much shit and it doesn't look amazing. Like, I've barely used Megmortar or Sneasel or Gallade or whatever. Like, there's not enough time. But try Orbeetle.
Would you like to go each shed?
Yeah, I can go if you want.
Sure.
Okay. So I have like 3 things. The first thing that I haven't seen nearly enough as I should have seen it is no Rotom, no Scarf Rotom in particular, like Rotom normal, the first one.
I've seen a lot of Boots. I just don't think Scarf is good compared to Boots.
Yeah, potentially that might be it. But I think with Rotom in general, I think it's been underutilized. To be honest, I think a lot of people, it's like very much like an old toy. Like, people have used it for generations now, and it's just sort of like, I guess, lost its appeal. but regardless, it remains one of the better Pokemon, and especially like good for gaining momentum. Like, especially in a meta where you have so many breakers, having a mon like Rotom where you can just sort of volt switch on anything in any scenario, in pretty much any scenario, um, is really useful. Um, but the thing that is broken is Flame Charge Magmortar, which I think is probably its best set, purely because you can do the breaking with its 3 coverage moves, like the Focus, the Thunderbolt, and the Fire Blast. But when you don't need to do some breaking, you just want to win the game. You just Flame Charge, and suddenly you're a much bigger threat than just a fastish wall breaker.
Yeah.
And yeah, speaking of some fastish wall breakers, there was a team that I built like I want to say a few days ago for Jari because he was he wanted me to help him build. I ended up building a mono dragon team, which shows how well that went. And it had like a Duraludon. It was based on like a Duraludon plus TR Executor Alola core. So yeah, I haven't seen too much of Executor Alola, but
I mean, to be fair, we do actually have 6 good dragons in PU, which is never a thing.
Yeah, I mean that's why I did it, because I was like,
we have
Duraludon
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
let's throw
8, 9.
Kingdra in the mix.
We have 11. We have 11 dragons in PU, and at least 6 are good.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I like. A dragon spam core with like Duraludon and TR Eggy A was particularly cool or like interesting to me. So definitely try dragon spam. Like I haven't seen any drag mag either, so maybe somebody can build a drag mag team.
Okay. Specs.
Okay, so these aren't like totally out there, but I think that they're things that people should maybe try out. Regigigas is decent. I'm gonna say it.
Yeah, I've not seen it. I gotta use it.
All the fighting types struggle to come in on you because of either body slam, para, or knockoff. Like you knock off the Champ Flame Orb, the Simian Scarf, and Protect really gives it a lot of free turns, so you can eventually become like a half decent win con. Nothing kills you in the tier outside of like Machamp, and I think it's good.
Does its speed get impaired by slow start?
Yes.
Yeah, it's speed and attack are halved.
Yeah, but nothing's killing you, to be fair. And you usually get some like utility with Knock Toxic.
Yeah, my problem is always the spread. You go like max HP or max attack.
I went max HP, and then I've been running like some weird sets with like some Spadef, some Def for like random things. I haven't come up with like a concrete set. I'll probably post it once I do. But
yeah, interesting.
Yeah, but like I don't know. I think the value of having something that'll always live, like 2 things from everything, is like underrated in this offense.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
It doesn't sound that bad.
I think a good
What's up?
I was gonna say it very much so reminds me of AV Frostmoth living 2 hits from anything meta.
Okay, are we done?
And then I'm just gonna shout out Zatu because it's incredibly annoying.
No, don't shout out Zatu. Okay, we're done.
And they shouldn't.
But yeah, don't do that. Don't do that, lad.
But it's good.
All right.
So
thanks for tuning in, guys.
Yeah, I know it's good. That's why we don't want to use it.
Sorry we missed a week.
You.
We covered it all. Thanks for coming on, Specs, and see y'all next time.
You.